next reader is Joshua Jackson. He hails from the south suburbs of Chicago, equipped with a BA in English from DePaul University. He is currently pursuing an MFA in Emerson College Writing, Literature, and Publishing Department. He is also a faculty member in Emerson Writes, a free creative writing program offered on Saturdays for Boston public students. Josh Jackson.
Josh, you have to speak real loudly, okay? Over here.
So this is an essay I wrote for Worlds Apart called Racing Toward a Better America.
Even more.
One more time. So this is an essay I wrote for Worlds Apart called Racing Toward a Better America. It is a summer night. I am walking in downtown Boston in the vicinity of Emerson College, on my way to one of my favorite dance clubs. Two white policemen drive up next to me. They ask me, "Where are you going? Where do you live?" The fact is, I was carrying a brown paper bag that contained alcohol, unopened of course, and I did plan on consuming it, and I was breaking no laws. I couldn't help but think that if I were white, the encounter wouldn't have happened. In his seminal book, The Souls of Black Folks, author and sociologist W.E.B. Du Bois proclaimed that race would be the dominant issue pervading American society in the 20th century. It seems that the 21st century is no different. Frequently, when we talk about race in America, we only focus on the sociological aspects. I am much more interested in the cultural and historical elements of blackness, because although it is a socially constructed identity, blackness transcends phenotype. Black expressive culture has completely informed global culture in a way that is unparalleled to any other group of people in the history of the world. Our history as black people is not only in our skin, but in our bones and in what playwright Sharon Brintroth calls blood memory. That history has created blues, jazz, and hip-hop, among other art forms. The economy of the so-called New World was built on the slave labor of my ancestors. White and black people are different. We are not cut from the same cloth. But this is almost dangerous to say in a neoliberal world where all human beings are seen as the same. Black speech and black traditions can be traced all the way back to pre-colonial African society. Blues could not exist if it were not for the kora, the West African version of the guitar. Jazz could not exist if it were not for the polyrhythmic aspects of traditional African music. Rap would not exist if it were not for the tradition of the griots, or singing bars. But none of these forms would exist if there were not a response to white racism. Black expressive culture is unique in that it has always been for political purposes, and not merely for aesthetic purposes. Blues told the stories of a post-Reconstruction era South uncomfortable with its black presence. Jazz told the story of the Great Migration and the urbanization of black Americans. Rap music responded to neoconservatism in the Reagan era and the lack of follow-through on civil rights promises. There is no such thing as the human story. We all have different stories to tell, and we all carry different histories in our bodies. And that history should never be forgotten. And yet, it is so easy to forget. White America suffers from amnesia, while black Americans suffer from post-traumatic slave syndrome. Because of this weighted history, all of our dealings with each other are political. If I were to deny my political affiliations as a black person, I would still be political. History is not linear, it's circular. It comes in repetitious cycles. Slavery's past is present. Look at our prison system. Legalized lynchings still occur. Just ask Trayvon's family. Ask Michael's family. Segregation is still alive. Look at America's racially divided urban areas. It is up to all of us to bridge that divide. We have to start by having the tough conversations that we are afraid to have. Our future does not have to be ugly as our past has been. If we want to change the present, we must break history's cycle. Thank you.
And our last reader is Zoe Takushige. She's a fiction MFA candidate at Emerson College. She received her Bachelor of Science in Media, Cultural, and Communications from NYU in 2012. These days, she works as a barista and blogs about hockey in between classes. This is her first published story. Zoe.